Hedonometer, right? So this is a thing we've been building for many years now, and it's sort of probably due for some upgrades in some interesting ways, but it's been through various stages of such. So this is a measurement of happiness, what's on display here, of happiness as told by Twitter, right? So this is a bit of an odd thing to do, but we have scores for words, about 10,000 words, and 5,000 of them come from Twitter, well-used words on Twitter, so ha and those sorts of things, as well as just the and of. This is just to give you an idea, maybe again some inspiration for projects, but this is sort of the recent, you can see it down here, this is the recent 18 months, most recent 18 months in terms of our measure of all of Twitter being piled into our little, very simple instrument really, which just takes an average of these words according to these individual scores we have for perceived happiness of words. And so you can see it's kind of, maybe you can't see this, but let me show you an overall thing first. So this is the full time series going back 10 years. This looks like a great big story. It's a little hard to sort this out because of demographic changes on Twitter, right? This is back in 2008. So things have changed considerably. So teasing this out has been not as simple as we thought it might be, but maybe we'll get there eventually with more words. So this, as I said, this instrument has improved over time, and so now you can see some broad things that are very clear, right? So these positive spikes are all anniversary kind of things, like Christmas Day and so on, where people tend to, say positive things. And yes, it's true, people say some negative things on those days, right? That makes for great stories on TV, right? Like Thanksgiving is awful for everyone, and it's very funny. But, generally they are positive, overwhelmingly positive events. And then all the negative things that step off down this way are, so there are deaths of celebrities or famous people, then natural disasters, right? So Harvey's down here, and then things like mass shootings, terrorist attacks. These things really sit off. What's hard to see, what's a little bit rough to see here is that it seems like there's no memory of these events, right? And at the overall picture, there doesn't seem to be. And the first time there was really a long period where, let me focus in on that one, was 2000, well, we don't have it set up, 2000, maybe back in here. Yeah, it was, was Charlottesville, right? So that happens here. This is the Saturday. And then there's sort of, if you go in on this, it really kind of is durable for a while. There's several weeks where that was really, what was being talked about definitely pushed this down. But, there are real shocks to this thing. What's happened more recently, and I showed you something about time speeding up, sort of adjacent to that is that the week cycle has become more messed up, right? Early on, it was very clear, like Saturday's the positive day, and then most positive day, Sunday's pretty good, and then, Tuesday's a bit of a trough. But actually, that was fairly regular, and we looked at that somewhat forensically. But it's become more, Saturdays are sort of losing their Saturdayness in this, and this is part of the whole, let's see, if we look at just Saturdays, if you can see that, maybe that's a little hard to see. You see the Saturdays are generally at the top, and so we sort of zoom in to this part. Yeah. So you can see this has these our word shift things, which I can't go into too much detail about just now, but just to show you that this is why this is the terrorist attack at the Ariana Grande concert back in Manchester last year. So terrible thing. So you see the the words that make this day much lower than the 7 days beforehand, right? You have to have a base to compare it to. These things are interactive. You can see, here are just the negative words that are pushing it down. There are positive words going up, right? So there's more love and heart and families and prayers and concert. These are all positive words. Words taken in isolation are problematic, but you see the texture of it is very clear. So these are basically like word clouds for grown-ups, right? These are word clouds that have real content in. They are, so Andy Reagan, who's a former student of ours, built this particular thing. It's kind of incredible in terms of its JavaScriptness and so on. You can download all those things.